questions in. If you could please keep yourself muted. If you want to turn your camera on, we're more than happy to see your face. Please do write any questions that you have in the chat function. So I'd like to formally introduce myself to everybody. I'm Emily Hopkinson. I'm new to English College this year, and I'm the head of the senior school. And I'm going to be joined this evening by the two deputy heads of the senior school, Mr. Edmonds and Miss Eyre. So I'm going to speak to start with, and then they will join in afterwards. Please, I apologise for the fact that we're wearing masks, but we are all sat together. We are social distancing, but we just want to make sure that we're following all the rules that we need. So let's get on. So, EC, we have 5 values that really do drive all of the decisions that we make. And we really do look to these when we are trying to make decisions about our students, their well-being, our pastoral care, or indeed our academic provision. We need to make sure that our students strive for excellence in everything that they do. That doesn't necessarily mean exam grades. It can be anything at all. So if they're going to take part in music, we want them to be the best that they can possibly be at playing their instrument. We want our students to collaborate together. We want them to work together to have a real sense of community and a real sense of cohesion among their year groups and indeed the senior school as a whole. We want our students to take responsibility for themselves. When they make mistakes, which we all do, we want them to own those mistakes and learn from them and develop their character and develop themselves as humans. We want our students to have aspirations, and those aspirations can be unique to them. So we always love it when we get students that want to study more unique or niche things at university, and we really do celebrate different students' individual differences. And finally, respect is absolutely key. We want our students to respect themselves, school, each other, so that they are making sure that they are being responsible humans and developing holistically for their future. So we have developed as a middle and senior school a vision. And this is something that we've developed from the whole school vision, but as a middle and senior school from the staff. And this is something that we will share with students over the coming weeks. If you just have a read of that, these words are not just words. They're really, really important to us. We want to make sure that our students are happy and they are safe and that we have a community. We don't want any kind of discrimination or bullying of any kind. We want to make sure our students feel their learning is personalised and meeting their needs. And we want to make sure we're developing lifelong learners. And that's both within our teachers and indeed our students as well. We all make mistakes, and this first couple of weeks during a blended learning model where we've got some students in the classroom and some at home, it's been a steep learning curve for all of us. But we're getting better, we're developing, and we're improving so that we can be as good as we can possibly be. A key part of this vision as well is pastoral care. We see pastoral care as a real strength of our school. Students are well known by their form tutors. They develop a broad range of skills and knowledges and understandings, and we make sure that we are working together as one middle and senior school together, all pulling in the same direction to achieve our aims. So it's important that we talk about our examination success. Now, I'm sure you're all well aware of the interesting time that has been this summer, looking at our exam results and everything that came out of the UK with regards to our centre assessed grades. We're very pleased that the exam board saw sense and awarded us the grades that we had submitted to them in the end. Now, if we have a look at our A-level success, we truly believe that those are the grades that our students would have achieved had they have sat the exams. Now, integrity is a huge thing for us. I'm sure some schools across the world did inflate their grades. We didn't. We gave grades that we felt were reflective of where our students were. And I think those A-level grades and those GCSE grades speak for themselves. Our students have achieved excellent things, and we hope that they will go on to do so in the next stage of their career. Now, if we have a look at value added, this means so much more to us as a school. We're an inclusive school, and that means we don't discriminate based on students' prior attainment when we accept them into our school. All students are welcome in our school if we can responsibly meet their needs. Now, value-added data looks at where students started, and it looks at the progress they've made over their course. So all students will sit a CAT 4 assessment at the start, and this gives us some data. One part of the data that it gives us is a target grade. And this target grade we then use to measure where students have got to out the other end. So let's say a target grade is a B. If that student then goes on to get an A, we have added value to that student. So as a school, they've got something from us that their aptitude didn't suggest at the start that they would have. That's usually due to factors within the school control, such as teaching and learning, such as pastoral care, such as removing barriers to education, providing support for the students who have differing needs. And we're really, really pleased that our value added is classed as outstanding at all measures. Now, it does say 83% of our students were on or above their CAT 4 if challenged grade. Now, their CAT 4 assessment gives us 2 grades. It gives us a target grade and an if challenged target grade. So in other words, if we really push students, this is what they could achieve. And the vast majority of our students achieve not their target grade, but their if challenged grade. So we push students to be the best that they can possibly be and achieve outstanding results. Now, as you are aware, we are an all-through school. So we have Mark 4, the principal at the top, and then we have 3 different scores. We have a primary school that goes up to year 5, we have a middle school that runs from year 6 to year 9, and then we have a senior school that goes from year 10 to year 13. Now, even though we have 3 separate schools, we operate as one. We have regular meetings more than once a week as a whole leadership team, and we discuss issues that are pertinent to the whole school. Our professional development is across the whole school and includes everybody. And indeed, our professional development for this week is people working in faculty groups together, whether they teach year 13 or they teach year 2. They're working together in subject groups to develop teaching and learning goals for the year. So we're very, very much focused on that whole school ethos and making sure we are making decisions based on a student who will hopefully progress all the way from FS all the way through to the end of year 13. Now, I did mention my 2 colleagues that are with me this evening. So we've got Miss Eyre. So Miss Eyre's responsibility is Key Stage 4. So that's year 10 and year 11. So Miss Eyre will deal with pastoral issues associated with year 10 and 11. She deals with GCSE options and is heavily involved with GCSE grades and tracking and monitoring progress as well. Similarly, Mr. Edmonds is in charge of Key Stage 5, and he does the same but for year 12 and 13 as well. Now, clearly they need to communicate very closely with each other as students progress from Key Stage 4 into Key Stage 5, because whilst many of the issues are very similar that our students face, there are also very different needs of those 2 different key stages. So it's really, really important that they communicate so that our students are getting a seamless transition as they progress up through the school. So some key contacts. It's always really important for you to know who you should contact if there is an issue. Now, every child has a form tutor, and their form tutor sees them every morning it would be 30 minutes, but we've narrowed that to 20 minutes at the moment, and also on a Thursday afternoon. So the form tutor sees them at least once a day. They should be the first port of call for any issue at all. If that's related to attendance or related to any kind of issue, the form tutor knows the student the best. Aside from the form tutors, we have their teachers. Their teachers should be the first port of call if an issue is related to teaching. So for example, if you want to know what geography textbook is used, the geography teacher is the best person to answer that question. Now, above the teachers, all of our teachers work in the people to go to if the teacher cannot resolve the issue. So I'm a psychology teacher. If there's an issue within psychology that I can't resolve, you would go to my head of faculty and speak to them as my head of faculty. We very much empower our middle leaders and our heads of faculty to be able to deal with different issues and concerns that arise, and they are the key people to speak to if there is an issue within their faculty. Now, Amy Sellers on secondary reception is a massive help to us, and she's the person that will ring you to chase any medical notes or to ask where your son or daughter is if they're ill and we haven't been informed. She's the person that you would speak to. Now, her email address is a little bit different to the others. She is the person who monitors the info@English College email address. So anything at all, if you're not sure who to direct your query to, she's the best person to contact, and she can make sure it gets to the right person. We have a fabulous head of inclusion, Miss Ahmed, and it's her job to make sure that all our learning needs are met. And she does a brilliant job of identifying any needs that may prove to be a barrier to education. And she works with our students to make sure all those barriers are removed. And she does fabulous work with our students. So if you think your child might have a learning need that's not been picked up, she's a really, really good contact to speak to, because she can do different assessments to see if there is some kind of need. Miss Kane is our new exams officer this year, and she's the person that you would speak to if you wanted to make an exam entry or you had an issue with your exam timetable. She would be the person to contact. So like I said, I know there's lots of different people who have responsibility for lots of different things. So if you're unsure, send an inquiry to info@ and it will be directed to the right person. The email address at the bottom that I must refer to, this is the email address that you should use if your son or daughter is unwell, absence@. Of course, you can always copy in the form tutor as well into the same email, but absence@ is the email address that we use. I'm aware that it wasn't working last week, but now you will be able to use that email address to report if your son or daughter is ill or will be absent for any reason. Ms. Sellers checks that and makes sure that our records for illness are accurate. So these are our form tutors. So your child is attached to a tutor group, and as you can see, there are 5 tutor groups in year 10 and 5 tutor groups in year 11, and the names and faces of those people that are attached to each tutor group are here. Now, it might be that you know your child's form tutor very well. It might be that you don't know them very well and you've only had an introductory email from them. These are the people that really know your sons or daughters well, and they get to know them very well over the course of the year. So these are the people that you would contact if you had any kind of concern as a first port of call. Similarly, there are 5 in year 12 and 5 in year 13 as well. And again, the names and faces of those people are here. Some of our form tutors have been with their tutor groups for years and years. So Miss Davison, for example, is the head of maths and shouldn't have a tutor group, but has chosen to keep with her tutor group because she's had them all the way through. So our form tutors really do take this part of their job really seriously, and they make sure that they engage with our students, make sure that they're developing them as holistic individuals. And these are the people that deliver the PSHE programme that Miss Eyre will talk about shortly. So this is just a bit of a visual to help you to work out who to direct your issue to. So if your issue is about attendance or equipment or uniform or anything like that, it's a pastoral issue and it would go to the form tutor. If your issue is about teaching, so for example, you're struggling to hear the teacher during distance learning, or you want to know which textbook the students need, or you want to know what specification the students are studying, anything like that that's related to teaching, you would direct your inquiry to the class teacher. As I've said, we have a middle leadership level above the class teachers, and so the head of faculty would be the person to go to if the class teacher cannot resolve the issue. But this is to kind of help you understand who to direct your query to. We regularly get queries from parents, and that's absolutely fine, but we will pass it on to the right person if we're not the people to deal with that in the first instance. Now, we've put this slide on here to help you so that you know who the heads of faculty are. These are all of our middle leaders who are heads of faculty, and this is their email addresses and their names. So if you have an issue with a subject, you know who to address your concern to. So communication is really, really, really important to us. And it's really odd at the moment that we can't have the usual parental meetings that we would have. Obviously, communication is always better face-to-face and always better in person face-to-face, because you can really see how the other person is communicating and what they're about. And it's difficult for us that we can't do that. So of course, parents are always welcome to call us. It's much better, much easier for us to express our tone over the phone. Sometimes in an email, it can be misread or misinterpreted, so a phone call is always really beneficial. Having said that, you're lucky if you catch us sat at our desks by the phone. We're unlikely to be there, but we will always try and call you if we've got anything that we need to discuss with you. Emails are a really fabulous tool that we can use to communicate effectively, because even when we can't get to the phone, we regularly have our laptops and can email. So please do feel free to email us if you have any kind of queries or questions and you don't know who to direct it to. I must plead with you, please bear with us in responding to emails. We will always endeavour to respond to emails within 24 hours within the working week. If we don't, then we apologise sincerely for that. But regularly we will get emails on an evening and then a follow-up email the following morning. Please just bear with us. We will get to it as soon as we possibly can. And we've shared an email protocol with students this week. And our email protocol does say to students, please try not to email after 6 p.m. and before 6 a.m. This is to help us in many different ways, but it helps us to not miss emails if we're getting them on an evening at home. So we really would encourage all students and parents to try and make sure they're sticking to working hours, because they're much more likely to get a quicker response that way. Some members of the team last year had to make phone calls with parents to find out about how distance learning was going, and so parents might have some personal numbers of staff. We please do plead with you and ask you not to use personal phone numbers if you happen to have them, because we do try and separate our professional communication from our personal. So please feel free to email us, please feel free to use our landline phone numbers, but please try not to use our WhatsApp and personal phone numbers, please. Okay, so safeguarding is something I want to talk a little bit about. Now, we have 5 safeguarding officers across the school, and all of these people are key people who deal with any kind of safeguarding concerns. Now, safeguarding is about prevention and protection of students. So if our students have got any kind of worry, let's say they're feeling stressed and anxious about exams, that would fall under safeguarding. When sometimes people see safeguarding, they only think of really, really serious things. Many things fall under the banner of safeguarding. Now, I have got the role of being the designated safeguarding lead in school. So it's my responsibility to make sure that everybody is safe and protected. And I have a team of 5 people that I work with, a team of 4 other people that I work with. Having said that, all of the staff in school have responsibility for making sure that all of our students are safe. So if you have a concern about your son or daughter, or your son or daughter passes on a concern about another child to you, please do contact us, and we will make sure that we're doing everything within our power to make our students safe. So I just want to talk a little bit about our COVID-19 measures. So as you know, social distancing is absolutely essential, and we've been really proud on the whole of how our students have managed this. It's not easy or normal for any of us to stay so far away from each other, and they've handled it really, really well. We've got bubbles across the school, so each year group has their own designated bubble, and obviously in the senior school, because our students are not taught in tutor groups, they mix more as a whole year group rather than just within a tutor group. And that's because they have different option subjects with different people. And we've been able to really rely on our students to maintain their distance, keep themselves to their room, and to be taught in really odd spaces. I teach psychology in a science lab, for example, and it's really, really odd. It's not something that's natural to me, but all of the students have coped really admirably. Our staff have got a lot more duties this year than they normally have because we need to be vigilant. We need to make sure that we're making sure that all our students maintain social distancing and that they are behaving in a way that we would want them to. And as I say, on the whole, this has been brilliant. We have a team of cleaners and sanitising in school all day, and they go around cleaning door handles, they go around cleaning all high touch points and sanitising to make sure that everything is as clean and sanitised as it can possibly be. We wedge doors open so that we can make sure that students are not having to touch them all the time, again, avoiding those high touch points. All of our students wear masks, and again, they've behaved so impeccably because it's not normal to be having a mask on all the time, yet they've managed it really well. We've been getting students into school, and we've been learning and developing, and we've been better all the time. We're learning more and more, and we now feel that we've got a very calm, measured approach to getting students in school, and we really need to thank parents for helping us with that, for making sure that students don't come too early, and to make sure that there's a nice flow, and we have very few students who come late. So we really do need to thank you for helping us with that. Dismissal on an evening has been a big challenge, and we've had lots of feedback from different people for how we can make sure our students are distancing from each other. And we think we found the right method now, the domino method we like to call it. And again, I must apologise to parents because this might mean that your son or daughter is a little bit later this week than they have been. And what I mean by the domino method is the first class will leave and then they will trigger the next class to leave, and so on until all of the rooms are empty. Yes, this means that we're dismissing students over a longer period of time, so they might be a little later than they have, but we're making sure that they are on a steady stream and they're not bunching together. So this has been really, really effective this week, and we're really pleased with how students have responded. You'll notice if you look closely that there are white spots inside the dismissal area, and you'll notice that these are painted at 1.5 to 2 metre intervals so that we can make sure that students, if they are having to wait in school, are separated from each other. Now, our year 12, and can you please mute yourself? We need to make sure that we are keeping our year 12 and 13 students safe, and obviously they have independent study periods. Now, the independent study periods that students have, they've got different spaces that they can go into, and we have a list of students who are free in any one period, and it's our job this week to allocate those students to a particular space so that we can have more control over where students are going in their free time. Obviously, our students can leave site early, so our 12s and 13s, if they have free periods at the end of the day, they can leave early. And again, that helps us to not have to control where they are. We do need students and parents' help, and as I say, we cannot thank you enough for how patient you've been with us. We understand that traffic is a challenge at the end of the day. We understand that you've got to go to 3 different gates, some of you, to collect your children, and we really, really appreciate the patience you have shown us. As ever, if you've got any more feedback or you see things that we don't see, please email me and let me know, because we want to make sure we're keeping our community as safe as possible and making sure that we are doing everything we can. So a huge thank you for your patience with us. So I just want to make a couple of things clear if they haven't been already. So we've got many students who are 100% on site, learning in classrooms every period. And we have some students who are learning 100% online. We also have some students who are somewhere between the two, with maybe 1 day in school, 2 days in school, and so on. The amount that we have learning on online at any one time is about a quarter. It's about a quarter of the senior school. But obviously that changes day by day, because it might be that we have more students who are choosing to be in school on a Tuesday, for example, rather than a Monday. Now, parents originally were asked to sign up for the half term, and we understood that we were going to have to be flexible with this, because it might be that things happen and parents want to change the learning model by the distance or online. Just to give you some context, we're currently getting about 15 to 20 requests to change every day. That might be people wanting to change online, people wanting to change in school, or people wanting to change their days or their number of days. Now, obviously, we do need to be flexible, but this is causing us some confusion and some changing to the staff. So, for example, as a teacher, I might think that I'm going to have a student online all week, and I might plan their learning to account for that, and then they might change midway through the week. It's not something that can't be overcome, it's just another thing to manage. In addition, we get about 15 to 20 students every day who change their learning program and don't tell us. So, for example, they want to decide to learn online then, or in school. Now, we understand that people will want to change, but I am pleading with you, if you want to change your learning program, please email me and then we can discuss it. I rarely say no. In fact, I would never say no. I might say, can we delay it a couple of days? I would never say no, but it really helps us to be notified if you want to change your program, because it's becoming increasingly difficult on any one day to know exactly who is in the building, and that's my responsibility. So I need to know first thing exactly who I've got in the building for safeguarding purposes. If you can please keep in contact with me if your program needs to change, that would be a huge, huge help. If your son or daughter is ill, sometimes they will choose to learn online. We really don't want them to do that. If they're ill, they need to just get better. We understand that sometimes students are a little bit ill, and so you might want them to learn online. Okay, that's fine. But if your son or daughter is ill, there's no expectation that they will learn online. We would rather them get well enough to come back into school, and then be back with us as soon as they can. So I've nearly finished. Just wanted to spend some time talking about our new reporting system. So This year, you will get 5 reports. So if your son or daughter is in year 10 or 12, you will get 5 reports. If your son or daughter is in year 11 or 13, you will get 4 reports because the students won't be here in term 3. So you will lose that final report. But we will give reports to parents in October. So by October half term, you will have a report for where your son or daughter is. Now, we think that's really, really important at any point in the year, but especially this year, because we need to know early on what the gaps are, what our students' strengths and weaknesses are, so that we can put intervention in place. There may be gaps from term 3 last year that we need to fill, and we need to know that. So you'll get a report at October half term, you'll get another one at the end of December, you'll get another one at February, and you'll get another one at Easter. So you will have 4 chances to see where your son or daughter is at. Nothing should be a surprise. Your son or daughter should never get a grade at the end that's a surprise to us. We should always know where we are the whole way along. And so you'll get some different bits of information on that report, but I just wanted to highlight a few. You'll get a current attainment grade, and that's where they are now. So where they're at right now based on what they've shown on assessments. The predicted grade is key. That's the grade. If everything stays the same, the most likely grade they're going to get at the end of the course, based on the evidence that we have, based on what tends to happen with students in that course. So that's the best projection that we can give. And these will be compared to their target grade. The effort grade is also essential because that tells us how much effort that student is putting in. Now, many people, when it comes to a report, think that we should have a test that immediately precedes that report. That's not great teaching and learning. Great teaching and learning takes away that high stakes mentality of I have to perform on this one test or else I'm not going to get a good report grade. Our teachers are doing ongoing, regular formative and summative assessment. So little mini quizzes, essay questions, tests, retrieval questions, and we'll put all of that information together to create a report grade. Now, these are absolutely essential this year. Many students have an upwards trajectory over the course of the year, and they get better as the course goes on. We are hoping that our students will be able to sit exams next summer, but we don't know if they will be able to. We don't know where the pandemic will be. It might be that we're in the horrible position next year where we have to award centre awarded grades again. If we do, we need the data to support that. We can't be saying to exam boards that we are awarding a grade of an A if the data hasn't supported that. So we need to make sure that our students are performing as well as they possibly can from day one.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk through part of our pastoral programme. As Mrs. Hopkinson has discussed, the tutor is the first point of contact. And something that we have reviewed on from last year is actually we wanted to increase the amount of time that our tutors spent with their tutees. And so 5 times a week in the morning, we have a half-hour tutor slot. And then Thursday afternoon, we also have a 25-minute PM slot. And this programme has been created to try and develop the student as well as support them through what is quite a challenging couple of years for GCSE and the same for A-level. So our programme includes assemblies where we come together as a whole school and deliver a message. At the moment, this is virtual. We have positive education, which is very similar to a PSHE programme. We have a drop everything and read. We plan for the future, which is a programme that's been put together by our careers advisor and higher education advisor, Miss Murphy. And then we have celebrations and reflections where the tutor has that time to sit down with their tutees, see how they're getting on in lessons and congratulate them for things like getting positive points in class charts. And within that, we've also been able to embed time for our house competitions. And the types of things that we're trying to review with students in this morning slot focuses on 4 main themes. So living within the wider world, health and well-being, relationships, and the Vesper programme. And this programme is about embedding skills in students to help them be successful in examinations towards the end. What we're focusing on this term is living in the wider world, and we're beginning to talk to students about these learning skills that again will equip them for their examinations, mindful of the fact that they have had some time away from school distance learning. So if I just move on to show you what our daily routines look like. We obviously have in the morning our standard routines where the tutor will look at uniform and equipment and go through our bulletins so students feel up to date on what's happening around the school. And then our tutors will work through the daily activity and our predetermined programme. Part of the pastoral care at the English College is not just what we do during tutor time, but it's what we can offer to students to help them develop outside of academics. And one thing we're really proud of is leadership. And we've got lots of different ways that the students can take on these leadership roles to develop themselves and think about the skills that maybe they might utilise when they go into the wider world and start their employment. I won't read through all of them, but some of the leadership opportunities that we've been particularly promoting at the moment is our student council, where we've got year representatives and form representatives that are being selected. We also have our pastoral mentoring programme that's being advertised at the moment, where our Key Stage 4 students will become a mentor to a younger student within the school. And we will be launching very soon our subject champions and our student learning consultants. So lots of different ways that the students can expand their skill sets and try and build upon what effectively will be their CV later on in life. We're also really focused on well-being for students, and I know this is a word that we hear come up quite a lot in education, and this is particularly important as students are trying to balance what is quite an unusual learning situation. And what we try to do within the pastoral programme, but also within the teaching as well, is to equip students with the skills to be organised and manage their workload. We're really key on establishing routines, and that's one of the reasons why our pastoral programme has got its set days, and also to help students adjust to new routines. As Mrs. Hopkinson has stated, we've got lots of different things that we're asking the students to do to help keep them safe within this pandemic. And things that can be happening at home to support us in school is ensuring that students have got that kind of quiet and calm working environment, and many students have already adapted this from distance learning. Thinking about key nutrition, again something that we touch upon within the pastoral programme, good sleeping patterns, and again allowing that time for recovery. I know Mrs. Hopkinson's touched on this idea, and if you are unable to come into school, then please do take that time to recover. But all of these themes about maintaining your well-being and looking after yourself is something that we try and cover within our programme.
Hi everybody, my turn. It's Mr. Edmonds here. So yeah, a few expectations of the senior school. So we obviously would like all the students to have a device. More and more, we've got more online facilities and resources. As we've got the students sat at their desks, it's really, really useful to be able to give them, have that device in order for them to access any Google Docs, and we're encouraging a fair bit of work to be done on the computer as well. A little plea with that one, and I have to say we've been getting so much better with it, is please remember to charge that device in the morning. We do have obviously outlets in order for us to charge them during the day, but please turn up to school with a nice fully charged laptop or tablet would be great. With regards to behaviour, we'll be monitoring that by class charts, which will also have a login for parents. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And then the last one is the punctuality. I have to say, as Ms. Hopkinson's already said, it's not been too much of an issue so far, and we'd like to keep it that way. So making sure that we're arriving from around 7:30 in the morning, and at 7:40, that's when the student is considered late. So that's when the last chance to get through the gate, with registration starting at 7:45. With our uniform, this is where we really, really need your help, parents, with all these plates that we seem to be spinning at the moment and balls that we seem to be juggling. One of the things we'd like your help with a little bit is when you're bringing your son or daughter into school in the morning, just have a quick skim over their uniform as well. And the sort of key areas that we'd like a little bit of concentration on is boys and tucking their shirts in the morning, school shoes, not being trainers. However, we do understand that sometimes some students may need to for a medical reason. Again, that's one of those things that you can email through to the tutor so that then we can get a clear message throughout school. The other thing with uniform is, and I know that we're starting to get into some of the cooler months, making sure that all of the uniform is the official EC clothing. I know that Zach's had a little bit of a shortage on the jumpers, but we have been assured that they have now been stocked up. And then when it starts to get really cool, we will have a winter coat, and that's absolutely fine to wear that to school, but it will be removed when your son or daughter gets to school.
Okay, so something that we wanted to include to help parents, and it's one of the questions that came up in the survey we sent out before this evening, is just some key academic dates. And we will share this presentation again via our social media and on D6. So I'm not going to go through all of the information. Equally, you don't need to frantically write all of it down now. But please be mindful that there are some key dates coming up this term. We have Parents' Evening for all three sort of year groups or areas. So year 11, a combined Parents' Evening for sixth form, and then a Parents' Evening for year 10. And as Emily has said, we've got 2 report windows as well that will be coming to you in term 1. Term 2, we have got some real examinations in the January and our mock examinations as well. Again, more parents' evenings and more reports. And in term 3, I think the main kind of push and focus for most of our students in the senior school is about thinking of the real examinations if they are to run. Again, more details will follow in that. We are being led by the exam boards and waiting for their clarification on specific dates. So just a few things to be mindful of as we look across this academic year. Another big question that comes up quite a lot from parents is understanding about the subjects, who the teachers are, what the textbooks are, what the exam boards are. And so we've included this QR code as well as the Google link. And again, you can access this later. If we just move to the next slide. This is a screenshot of the type of information that you can find. So we've got the subject, the header department, exam board, textbook and revision guides, as well as a summary of topics that are taught in each year group, just so students can kind of get a grip of where they're at. But more importantly, as parents, I know a lot of the time it's good to have an understanding of what kind of topics are being covered. So then when you're trying to support your son or daughter in their revision, you know where to look to. And there is a tab for GCSE and a tab for A-level. Again, as I said, we will share this with you at the end. I'll pass you over to Mr. Edmonds now. He's going to talk about higher education.
Thank you, Miss S. So, unfortunately, Miss Murphy's not at the meeting this evening, but a lot of our higher education and careers advice will come through Miss Murphy. There's a picture of her there so that you know, have a face to put reference to, and also there is her email address. In the next few slides, I'm just going to talk through the process of what we do for higher education, how we get the students ready, and we are doing that throughout all of senior school, obviously starting with our PSHE sessions in the morning, and then we have a number of other things that we do as we go throughout. Lots of parents are always interested in where our students go to and what universities they end up at. This is actually our destinations from 2020. We've actually had a rise in our Russell Group applications and acceptances. So we've gone from sort of 25% all the way up to 31%. So we've got an increasing trend happening there. But as you can see, we've got experience and we have guidance for so many different countries around the world. So we are not just specific to the UK in that sense. Some people will also be very interested as to what sort of courses they go on to, and we do have an absolute plethora of different courses that the students go on to study. What we do as well is we keep a very strong alumni link with those students, and just like we had before the summer, we get those students back to talk to our senior school students about their courses, their experiences in different countries, and what they need to do to make themselves more, a word I'm looking for, I want to say employable, but you know what I mean, for the university. Added to that, we obviously know that we're in a little bit of a different time at the moment with what we can get into school, but we still have a very, very large network of things that we can rely on to help the students get ready for university. We've brought in our UniFrog provider. UniFrog, each student from year 10 upwards has a login for this website that has links to universities, links to the course types, what it's like to study in a certain country, how to apply, what should be put in your applications. So we have so many things in there, and UniFrog is such a great resource, which we will keep dipping into when we have our PSHE program as well. We have one-to-one student-parent meetings as well. They're not obviously face-to-face at the moment, but Miss Murphy is always happy to have an email from a parent or a student asking to set up a Google Meet to talk through any university applications. We've also noticed that the universities are going down a route of webinars and online taster lectures, which is really, really exciting and gives a whole new insight into the university. So Miss Murphy has a careers classroom and higher education classroom that she signs the students up to, particularly in year 12 and 13. And she's always updating that all the time with different opportunities for the students. And obviously when they do these opportunities, these are the sorts of things they can talk about on their personal statements. We've got subject workshops that are happening. We've got conferences. We're going to have some online university fairs. And also we've got our industry links as well, which are quite strong with a number of companies in and around Dubai. Little plug there, if there is any parents out there who'd like to offer their services a little bit more with industry links and would like to help to set up some experiences for our students, we are always looking for more opportunities for them. So please let us know. Now, work experience is something that we do try to put into year 10 and 12. And we've had, we obviously couldn't run that last year with what happened with the pandemic, but we still will hope to run our work experience program this year, which would happen in the summer term. But obviously we need to keep reviewing it. We need to keep seeing what's happening with the KHDA advice and the DHA advice. But as soon as we have an update about our work experience program, we will let you know as parents so that we can get those opportunities for students. And also, again, it gives them a real good snapshot of the working world ahead of them. As I said, I've just done a very small snapshot of the universities and higher education opportunities at the school. Miss Murphy, again, please send her an email if you need any more information or you would like to go through that. I'm also going to talk through some of our communication channels that we have in school. So obviously we have our social networking sites that you can follow. We like to share a lot of successes onto those sites. So please subscribe to those and keep an eye on what our students are up to. The big communication channel area for us is the D6 Communicator. That's an app that you can download onto your phone, and we will always put our messages, letters onto that platform in order for you to access it. Class charts, I already mentioned earlier that we would use this to monitor behaviour. That's both positive and negative within school. We have just begun this week rolling out the parent logins. A lot of you will have received those already, but also don't panic if you haven't yet. Over the next week, we'll be making sure that we have those parents have their logins. If in a week's time from now you've not had them, please feel free to email your tutor to check to see what happened and why you hadn't received that. And what the class charts does is it goes through each and every lesson with the student, We put on positives from that lesson, any negatives from that lesson. We're also going to be putting on a COVID sanctions button there as well, just so that we can also keep up to date with if there are any differences in how students were following our COVID measures within school as well. And that will alert you each day as to how your students are doing. As you can see there on the screen, there's a nice little breakdown of how, like a student, and how they've done in that day. Lots and lots of green is what we're expecting to see from the students. We've also got a new parent portal with ISAMs, which will be rolled out as well. Now, this is a portal that goes through things like the timetable for your students, internal, external examinations, activities and events. You can also keep an eye on the attendance figures of your son or daughter. And it will also link into some of the accounts as well. So invoices can be put on there, and which we should have some online payments going through that system as well. Now we're going to go into our question and answer session. So at this point, we ask that you type any questions into the chat. We did put out a survey before this evening to look for any important questions and answers. We think that we have covered the majority of those in the slides that we've gone through. The only one that I know we hadn't gone through was someone asked about an example exam schedule. So I've just placed one there. And this is an example of what, when you have your external exams, that you'll get a transcript of what you are going to be sitting for those exams and the dates and the times of those. I'm going to pass over to Miss Eyre or Miss Hopkinson, who are monitoring our chat, to have a look at the questions coming in now.
So if you did have any questions, please do type it into the chat feature, and then we will do our best to answer them for you. So E6 not showing any notifications of the new messages. This is new information to me, so I will follow this up for you and speak to Mrs. McDonald, who posts our different things online. So I've not made aware of this issue before, so please leave that one with me. Abigail is asking Mr. Edmonds, when will Year 12 be allowed to use the common room?
Well, the answer to that question at the moment is neither Year 12 or Year 13 have a common room at the moment, because every area that we have been used in the bubble to be taught in. We hope that when we can start to ease some of the measures, that we will be looking to obviously make that nice sixth form area available to both Year 12 and 13. But at the current time, we can't have those facilities open. Each week, though, as I'm sure some of the students have let you know, we are putting up like a survey for students to give us some feedback of things that they'd like to try and improve. And again, that's something that can go on to the into that feedback, and we're always trying to see what we can do better.
Okay. Apologies. So another question is, why is Thursday a shorter day? So the way that our timetable has been created is students do have 4 longer days earlier on in the week, and then they have that shorter day where we teach 4 lessons instead of the 6. There is obviously argument to split it over 5 days equally, but we have opted for the model where we have 4 longer days prior. The next question is, when will all students complete university applications? So Mr. Edmonds, I'm going to pass back to you if that's okay.
Absolutely fine, Miss Eyre, thank you. So we will, the majority of our students will go through their university applications in Year 13. We begin those at the end of Year 12. We make sure that we have our personal statements written before the summer break, and then we can start to check and go through those applications. But also Miss Murphy will send out a Google form to find out if there are any students in Year 12 who are planning on leaving at the end of the year, so that we can also support any students leaving at the end of their ASs. I can also see a lovely message from Smith family, thank you very, very much. That means a lot. And then we've got, how will the school help the Year 11s on revising for the GCSEs? I'm going to pass back to you, Ms. On that one.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. And obviously we are mindful that students have been distance learning for nearly a third of the academic year in Year 10. Again, it's really going to be led by the subject teachers. They know their curriculum best. They understand whether the exam boards have made any adjustments to the curriculum, and they also understand the topics that have been covered. So we will be going through revision skills with students and learning skills in tutor time. And departments have been, and as a faculty have been tasked with the job of working out where students are at and making sure that there are no gaps in their knowledge. So although we have had distance learning, I believe that the way we're approaching it will be very similar to how we would with any other year group. And that is that we will be teaching the students revision skills from a tutor team point of view, and then the subject teachers will be driving the content that needs to be covered. And of course, they can go to their tutor if they've got any issues or have any questions about how to organise their time. I think there was also another question regarding GCSEs. What is the procedure of changing GCSE subjects? Obviously, for Year 10 students, they went through quite a lengthy and detailed option selection process. And so students were asked to give their choices a couple of weeks to allow them to get used to the subject and embed into the new routine. Obviously, if a student is really unhappy, then they just need to contact me and we can have a conversation to try and understand why and try and support them, because really what we want is for students to be happy in their subjects, and there's a reason that they chose that choice in the first place. So let's try and unpick the kind of reasons they might be unhappy. The next question is about distance learning, and it's with the stop in October, can we continue? Mrs. Hopkinson, can I pass over to you?
Absolutely. So there's a few questions about distance learning and about gates and whatnot, so I'll tackle all of them at the same time, if that's okay. So distance learning will continue for as long as we need it to continue. So the KHDA have mandated that we have to offer 100% distance learning, so we intend to. And we're also very sensitive that some students prefer to learn from home during this pandemic. So we will continue as long as we need to. I would imagine that will be at least until December, if not beyond as well. It wouldn't surprise me if we had that option throughout the whole of the academic year, but we would certainly update everybody if there were any significant changes. I'm just going to jump over the GCSE question, which we will come back to. Sorry if I wasn't clear, the domino method that we've patented of getting children out of the building is purely for gate 5. It's purely for Year 10, 11 and 12. And this is just so that we've got a steadier stream of children out of the building. They will all still exit from gate 5. I honestly am very sorry if it's causing problems with having to pick up multiple people at multiple gates and with the traffic. I honestly understand that it is a challenge. So I just plead for you to bear with us while we try our best to keep everybody safe, but it won't have an impact on the gates that children are leaving from, I'm afraid. Thank you, Layla, for your thanks. Honestly, we really, really appreciate it. So the notice period for changing people from face-to-face learning, to be honest, we can respond relatively quickly. It does help me to have 24 hours notice. I do sometimes get notification an hour before, so it does help me to have 24 hours notice, and then we can make anything happen. All we plead with you is that if you want to make a change, that you stick with that change for as long as possible. We understand that we need to be flexible, and we do our best to be flexible. Miss Eyre, do you want to do the GCSE one?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Sahel family are asking, how many subjects will the students in Year 11 be sitting GCSE for? So the students will sit 9 GCSEs, or they will gain 9 GCSE qualifications at the end of the exam series. Some subjects will have 2 papers, other subjects will have more than 2 papers, and it just depends on the curriculum. And again, the best person to speak to about that will be the subject teacher, as they are the expert. In regards to subjects like Islamic studies, students will sit an end of year assessment, but that will be an end of year assessment that is internal within the school. So the likelihood is it will be in class rather than in the exam hall. We have another question in regards to sixth form and late arrival on days where they do not have lessons at your name.
Yeah, sure. So it's a good question. I know it's a question that a number of the sixth formers are asking because some of them have their study periods in the morning. As we already stressed, the PSHE program that we're running in the morning, we feel is such a vital part of our what we offer to the students. As I said, that's university, that's also looking at life skills, that's looking at moral skills as well. So that's why we don't allow the students to come in late on those days. We also feel that we want to develop that relationship with the tutor. And obviously, if you're not in the morning, we can't develop that relationship. And then we feel like we've lost a little bit of what makes EC special. So that's why we don't allow the students to come in late in the day. I'm just seeing if I had any others. I saw from Sana, there was one about mocks taking place for year 12s. So obviously, Ms. Eyre shared that there'll be a mock week in February. I do understand that we have some subjects, such as our science and maths, that have exams in January. That doesn't mean there won't be a mock for those. It just means that they won't be in an official mock week. And the subjects will then communicate with you when they will do that mock. They will give you enough time to make sure you are ready for it. And of course, being a biology teacher myself, I know that I would try to sit them before the Christmas break, and then we would let everyone know where you're at going into the break. Thank you so much, Hibba, for your lovely message. I'm just seeing if there are any others so I'm going to pass back to you, Miss Eyre, for a year 10 query, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So the year 10 grades from last year affect the current attainment for year 11 students. Obviously, we do take all evidence into consideration. It is a cumulative approach. However, if a student has had perhaps a difficult time during year 10 and their attainment has been lower than their attainment in year 11, we would never look at attainment negatively. That's not to say that it would be completely disregarded, but depending on the situation that we are in, we could be in a situation where we're preparing for examinations, real examinations that are marked by the exam board. And in those situations, then really is how the student performs on that day. If we're in a situation where we're providing centre assessment grades, yes, attainment from year 10 will be taken into consideration, but it really is about the professional judgment of that teacher. They know your son or daughter the best, they know what they are capable of, and that teacher is expected to award a grade that they feel is suitable, that reflects what they would do on the day of the exam. And so if year 10 does not reflect what that student can do on the day of the exam, then that year 10 data may not be used when they're creating a centre assessment grade. So I hope that has answered that question. A couple of questions just in regards to access to parent portals and ISAMs, etc. So at the moment, the new ISAM system is new with staff as well. And what we are focusing on is embedding this system with our teachers, so they are really secure in using the system effectively. Once that has happened and we are ready to then launch this with parents, the information will be shared with you in due course. We just wanted to keep you updated that this is a new program or new software that we've got. I think that it's going to be incredibly useful for both you as parents, but also us as teachers. So I'm personally very excited about it, but the information will be shared in due course. In regards to class charts, we are still using class charts as we did last year, and so that is a consistent thing. So please do keep checking that. I'm just having a look through now of the questions. I think I've answered that one there. Will year 10 sit any GCSEs in the first year? So good question. GCSEs are a 2-year course, and therefore students will sit, if they're in year 10 now, they will sit their examinations in the summer of 2022. And I think that is everything. We're getting some lovely messages from different families. And I hope that everyone has found this a very informative evening. And if you do have any further questions, then please do contact us. We'll stay on for a couple of more minutes to see if there's any more questions. If not, then I wish you all a very good evening.
So, thank you very much for joining us. The positive messages, honestly, they really, really do mean a lot to us, because we are our own biggest critics. So we are forever reflecting and seeing how we can do things better. So we really, really appreciate your support and your patience. We really, really do. So thank you very much. Have a good evening, everybody, and please stay safe.